For those of you who are watching the video version of this show, I'm pretty sure you're underwhelmed. After all, you're opening up a video that talks about personal branding, and from the looks of it, you would be rightly asking yourself, what does this guy know about personal branding? After all, if you take a look around, it doesn't really seem like I'm doing a whole lot here. There's no fancy background, no background that makes it look like I'm all powerful, rich, and important. And I'm not doing anything fancy. No, picture-in-picture, no video editing whatsoever. And I'm doing this to make a point. And for those of you who will be listening to the audio version of this show, I will put a link to the video so that you can see what I mean by underwhelmed. But let's face it, we've heard for a long time now from those who have amassed large audiences that content is king. Content, not the production, not the, visual stimulation, not, the audio production, but content. But if that was true, everybody could make a video like this, put out great content, with great information, and they would amass large audiences. But that doesn't appear to be the case, does it? Because people, as well as they like content, they like the, entertainment as much as they like the content. Take a look at someone like Gary Vaynerchuk. He's always talking about content, and then he'll say context. But his videos are very highly produced. Would you listen to him if he was just sitting here like me? Now I get it, you'll say, wine library. But let's face it, a lot of the people that go off and say content is king not only do highly produced videos, but they got on there, on the platforms, when they were relatively new. They had the first mover advantage and were able to amass a large audience. Could them starting off today, like they did back then when the platforms were still new, still work and get them the attention that they are doing today? Well, I don't know. That is debatable. You can't, go back and say, hey, I know if they did the exact same thing today, it wouldn't work. You don't actually know that for a fact. Now, there's also people that have gone out there and said, fake it till you make it, and other people that says fake it till you make it doesn't work. Well, fake it till you make it can still work. It's just how you do it that's changed. The idea that you can take out all the money from the bank and take a picture of yourself with with a whole stack of ones and then put a couple of $100 bills on the top and bottom, and boom, you can make it look like you have a ton of money. That stuff doesn't work. Can you still make it look like you're in a big office and all that? Yeah, sure. Green screens. You can even do green screens when you're doing live recordings and interact with your audience and fool them that way. But that doesn't really work either these days. People are wise to green screens. They're wise to the stack of ones where you put a $100 bill on top and bottom to make it seem like, you have a lot of money. But there are other ways, more modern ways, in which you can fake it until you make it if you really wanted to. It just depends, and part of that fake it till you make it is, how you're spending your money to advertise or to gain an audience, and tricking people into thinking that you're more influential than you are. But before we get to that, let me go through and talk to you, about personal branding and my thoughts. Now, again, when I'm doing this here on video is not my strong suit. It's very time consuming for me to get everything set up in order to do video versus audio, where I can just open up the computer, talk into the microphone, and boom, I can go. That's why I like audio podcasts a lot more than I like producing video shows, which you can tell by the YouTube channel just how few videos I've actually done. you know. But I get it. Video is important to everybody. Everybody's looking for an alternative to TV as they start cutting their cable. But as we go through here, let's take a look. Now, I have a paper out here with an outline of what it is I want to say. If I wanted to go off and do highly produced videos and show you how, professional I am while claiming, content is king, I wouldn't have this out here. I wouldn't have this keyboard that controls, OBS as I do this. And those of you who are watching this on the live stream, guess what? It isn't really live. All right, so let's get into personal branding for a moment. Now, there is no one way to build a personal brand or a business brand. Everyone has different talents, different personalities, different levels of comfort with the type of content that they want to put out there. Whether you want to do brand building through blogging, whether you want to do it through audio podcasts, video shows, or if you just want to do it on Twitter and Facebook. There's a lot of different ways in which you can do personal branding. You just got to figure out which way is best for you. Is it long video, short video, long or short podcast? Can you write out just a bunch of short blog posts like Seth Godin? Right? Do you have to write long authoritative blog posts to provide information? Can you just use hashtags on social media? Or do you do paid advertisements? There's a lot of different ways in which you can go out and get attention, and there's a lot of different ways in which you can fake attention in order to then get people to look at you and go, this is somebody to follow. Also, one thing that you need to take a look at, and this is where building a personal brand is really hard for me. Time consumption. If you're someone who's time poor because you're going off and you're hustling all over the place, you're holding down, your regular, 9-to-5 job. Maybe you're putting in, a second job, and then you're coming home and, you're listing a whole bunch of stuff on eBay, doing the whole retail arbitrage. And then, you want to go off and still make some time to raise your kids, spend time with your wife, and maybe you're going off and doing a couple other things at once. Do you have yourself spread so thin that you don't have time to build a personal brand? Or can you find time in the margin and just build a personal brand with short form content? You got to ask yourself these questions. You got to ask yourself, how much time can you dedicate to personal branding? And then you got to have a vision. What is it that you want to get out of personal branding? That's another thing that is kind of interesting to me. Everyone wants to go off and talk about becoming a personal brand, becoming an influencer. And then you ask them, well, what is your main thing? Are you just wanting to be an entertainer and attract sponsorships and advertisers? I mean, that's a thing. And who says that you have to be on TV in order to be an actor? Right? You can go through and you can produce your own short form comedy shows. If you go back to the way sitcoms, used to be, you and a couple of friends can get together and produce a show like Married with Children. They didn't really have a whole lot of different scenes in that. And a lot of it was just in the house with just very few of it outside of the home. You could probably do a show like that mostly in your basement if you just build yourself a small little studio set. Yeah, you could. So if all you're wanting to do is just make money from advertisers, then yeah, you just go off and be entertaining. But what if you want to do something more than that? You're not just looking at entertainment. Well, what else is there? Are you trying to, sell merchandise? Your own personal line of clothing? Are you trying to sell books? What is your plan? What is your motivation for becoming a personal brand? Do you have any thoughts? Or are you just someone who's just throwing up a bunch of stuff and, hopefully it just takes off a bunch of random stuff? You got to think about that, because that is going to determine your content strategy and how you're going to present your content in order to engage in the personal branding. And do you need a personal brand, or do you just need a business brand? Or do you need both? Now, if you're saying that you need both, then you really got to be mindful of your time constraints. Unless you already have, built a multi-million-dollar business and you have a lot of money, and like Gary Vaynerchuk, to hire a whole team to follow you around, video it, and highly produce it, chances are, you don't have enough time to do both a personal and a business brand. But then again, if you've been able to go off and just quit your day job because you're doing so great online and making so much money online, maybe you do. Can you team up with your spouse? You record the content, she's good at, doing all the video and editing and everything, or vice versa. Yes, content is still needed, and context is still great, but you still need to have a plan, which means you have to know what your reason is, right? And yeah, this whole, business, personal, do you do 2 YouTube channels? Do you do 1? How do you post all of that? It's all debatable. Everybody has their opinion about it. But I think one of the best advice that you can think of is just be you. Could you be just as entertaining, going off and just doing videos like this time after time, just, sitting behind a desk, have some foam on the wall to cut down on echo and noise and all of that, and produce videos that educate people. If you got OBS, you could, put in your clips, and you can put in, whatever visual or other videos that you want. You can, you can also, with a wireless keyboard, like this, you could do personal branding with your videos, in the live streaming, want to go off and, it is what it is, right? On personal branding. But now let's get into what you need to do in order to build up a personal brand, and then I'll get around to talking to you about some of the ways that you can fake it till you make it. Because I know some people, they want the shortcut. They want to be able to get to the point where they got a big personal brand and a big audience, and that they're making a lot of money so that they can quit their day job. So here are some of the things that you need to think about or do when building up a personal brand. Some of these things are intuitive, and you may have already heard them before elsewhere, but I'm going to give you, my thoughts and opinions on each of these. Now, whatever it is that you're going to do, you need to be consistent. But what is consistency? Do you need to do that daily? Is it just weekly? Is it just several times a week? Well, that's up to you. There is no right answer to this. You got to think about what your plan is, what your strategy is, how much time you have to dedicate towards this, and then go out and, just produce on a schedule. When we're talking about consistency, we're not really going to be talking about the frequency so much as we are the predictability of it. Dropping an episode every Monday, predictably, once a week, is going to be a lot better than, it's a Monday this week, it's a Thursday that week, maybe it's a Wednesday the week after. No, having a predictable, production schedule and staying consistent to that, is what's going to help build up, your audience. Think about this. When we watch TV, at least before the on-demand services and Netflix, how did we always go about our TV watching? We watched it on a schedule. Some of you're still watching regular, TV, your satellite cable, yada, yada, yada. But your shows come on pretty consistently. Some shows are daily, and they're always at the exact same time. Some shows are weekly. They're always on the exact same day and time. So you got to think about it the same, because that's the way we have been trained for so long. Even us millennials, right? Before Netflix, I mean, we were watching TV. We understood the TV schedule, and a lot of people who still have cable still go by that TV schedule. You got to think about that in your own production, not just with video, but with your audio content. If you can't stand video and all you're going to do is just audio content, and for those of you who listen to the audio podcast, I understand here I'm horrible at sticking to a schedule, and my life is a bit chaotic. I understand that. Just because I know what to do doesn't mean I'm going to invest the time into doing it, because, I don't know, personal branding just doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. I could easily do it. But sticking to a consistent schedule is going to be key. And just like having a clear vision of what it is you want to do with your personal brand, where you want to go, what you want to be known for. And another thing that you're going to have to think about is don't worry about what other people are going to think and say about how you produce your content, about how your videos look, how your audio sounds, all of that. Because anybody who goes off and is going to make it anywhere, anybody who gains a big audience on anything, gets criticized all the time. There's always going to be haters out there. People, love to hate. Why? Because they're trying to fill a void in their own life. They're not as successful as they want to be. They're not doing the passion that they want to do. So what are they going to do? They're going to go off and try and tear down everyone who's doing all the things they themselves want to do, but can't figure out how to do it, how to find time for it, or don't have the self-confidence or self-esteem. They're too image consciousness. And I'd say this goes a lot more for women than it does for men. And I get it. Women are held to a different standards on looks. They can't just, get on video and, dress up and, just a normal t-shirt and, look like they just got out of bed and be taken seriously. And that's a cultural thing that we need to fix. I mean, they got to, for some reason, worry about makeup and how their hair, looks and all of that. So I get it. And for you women out there, maybe you want to stick to just the audio and written version if you're too self-conscious about your looks, or it takes you hours to work on your looks in order to do a 5-minute video. But if you just stop thinking about what other people are thinking about you, if you just stop caring about it, it frees you up quite a bit. Now whether or not you're going to take off is just more of a charisma thing. Your charisma is going to be more important in some respects, but then again, maybe you've already tuned out the video version of this because you're just like, man, there's really not much production here. It's lame. And I know. And don't complicate everything. When building a brand, you just want to tell an intriguing story, or a story in such a way that it keeps the audience, but you don't want to get overcomplicated. You can try and spend a lot of time being fancy, but if you overcomplicate everything and you make everything way too fancy, you're not going to be able to get much content out there. You're not going to be able to go through and, really produce enough in order to gain, an audience. Now, I've seen some people, who are able to make it, not really doing a whole lot with their videos. So, there is that, but just, keep it simple, be consistent, just be you and don't care what other people are going to think or say, and, ignore the trolls in the comments. Now, what you think is simple, and here's another thing on the content. Just because you think something is just obvious, everyone should already know it, and all of that good stuff, doesn't mean they actually do. And this is why some people are considered experts and some people are not. Or a better way to put it, why some people think some people are experts and other people look at the same person going, you're not really saying much. You're just saying the obvious, because not everybody knows the same thing. Not everybody got the same information, or even if they have, they're not being told it in such a way that they're able to digest it. So don't be, hesitating a lot on what it is you're going to say because you think, oh, everybody's going to know it. Just whatever you want to communicate, just communicate it. And even if you go through and you say, okay, I'm releasing a video only on Mondays, does that mean you can only record on Mondays? No. Just, grab a phone, whether, it's your current phone or whether you take one of your old phones and just use it to, carry around to record videos because you want to save battery life on the phone that you use to do all your social media with. Just use an old phone just as a camera. It will still produce, good videos. And you can set that phone on a selfie stick. You can set it on a tripod. Heck, you can even, nowadays, use a wireless mic system with your phone, set up on a tripod, and even have a lighting on there in order to, make sure that it's not too dark. There's a way in which you can easily record anywhere on the go. Or, if you're only doing audio, maybe your audio podcast is a bit of a mashup of various thoughts and opinions that you've had throughout the week. You can just, take out your phone, record it on there. And then, maybe sometime through your podcast or your video show, you take all those little clips and you inject it into the show. Let's say you always need a little bit of a break, when you're doing, your video content, if you're live streaming especially, and, or your audio. And so you do a half a show, and at the midway point, you throw in, the mesh up of videos of things that you've thought of during the week. These are all just little things. It's all about, pumping out the content regularly and having an overall message about what it is you want to be known for. And you also never know what people are going to find interesting. I mean, let's face it. We've all seen videos that have gone viral. And we're like, really? What was it? The woman sitting in her car wearing a Chewy mask, and just making the sounds. And everyone's kind of seen that. And these are all, when it comes to personal branding, it's not a complicated thing. Now, how do you build up the audience? Is there a way that you can still fake it until you make it? Well, yes, there is actually. And there's, the old ways of faking it till you make it is not going to work. Putting on a suit and, having a stack of money, no. Using a green screen to make it look like you're in a fancy place and more successful than you are, no, that's not going to work either. Going out and taking a pitch, standing on the yard of a great big house that someone else owns, taking a picture of yourself in front of it, or taking a picture of yourself in front of a yacht, claiming that it's yours, and if they follow your advice, they can have one too. No, none of that's going to work. None of that is going to work. Everyone's on to that. But what are some other things that you can do? Well, okay, if you're doing a podcast, and I'm thinking about trying this out myself here to, really be the test, the crash test dummy as far as, ways that you can make it. But I've seen other people who have, done this, and, it's worked for them. Like for instance, you can get on Fiverr and other services, and you can pay people money, and what they'll do is they'll run bots or, some other, type of scheme or a network of people that they have. And what they will do is, you pay them money, and they're going to go through and manipulate, your podcast for you so that you rank high in the podcast directories, especially iTunes, so that your podcast is highly visible. This doesn't exactly translate into you pay them money and they're going to go through and, download your podcast, 1,000 times. No, what they're really doing is just pumping up your podcast and using what they know about how the rankings work in order to make you more visible. And when you take a look at it and you see the podcast, when you're looking in a category and you see the podcasts that rank in the first 10 or first 20 or 30, you think, hey, these guys are really good. They're ranked very high. But are they really that good, or are they using services that are designed to artificially increase their rankings in order to get the visibility, in order to get you to subscribe? Visibility does lead to subscribers, after all. So is that really kind of a fake it till you make it tactic, or is that just a marketing tactic? Because all you're really paying for with that is visibility. They just know how to manipulate everything to make you more visible. Whether or not you gain subscribers and keep subscribers, that's still going to be on you and how well you can produce the content. I think I'm going to go ahead and actually use that service myself and then come back and tell you how it worked. If I spent a month in iTunes on the top 20, and then, as I keep producing, content, how many of those people stayed, right? Because I get it. I may not be the most interesting person. I get it. Maybe the way I speak, and how I, pause a little bit, and how I go about everything, and how I don't really focus a whole lot on the editing and production side, maybe is not your can of beans. Maybe how I express myself is not necessarily of interest to you. I get it. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to try it and see how well it works, and then report back to you, I spent a month in the top 20. Here's how much it increased my downloads and subscriberships for the 30 days after. So it would be a 60-day, experiment. 30 days of being highly visible, and then 30 days to see how many of those, how many subscribers stuck around or stayed. And you can do the same thing with YouTube. There are people out there that will go around and pump up your channel for you. Where you can go through and, pay service over time. Now, if you went from 0, you produced 3 videos and all hit the microphone, so you probably got something. But if you just produce 3 videos and all of a sudden you have hundreds of thousands of YouTube subscribers, people are going to know what's up. But if you go through and you produce, 50 videos and then you pay the service to get you 250 subscribers, when researching this, I've found services in which they'll not only give you subscribers, but there will also be, likes, comments, and shares. They have various packages, and they're all designed to pump up your YouTube channel, get it into the trending section, or get it into the recommended sections, to make you more highly visible to everybody. And again, this is a tactic in which if all you were doing is just artificially inflating your subscriber numbers, but then, you're producing videos and you don't have any real watchers, I get it, that's not really worth it. But if you're paying for a service here that, at least in the beginning of your video channel, YouTube, It will gradually increase your subscribership in a way that seems natural, and it's actually, bots or real people, whatever, that are watching the videos, are showing that it's watch and giving you, great watch time and hitting that like button and hitting the share button, and really just pumping up your statistics. And then all of a sudden you get into all the trending sections where real viewers are going to see it. Okay, that's great. And what's going to happen with those real viewers? They're going to, come and start watching you. They're going to see the stats. And it's kind of one of those things where you're faking social proof in order to get to real social proof. Where as time goes on, your audience is going to be, replaced, those bots are going to be replaced by actual people. You're just manipulating the algorithms in order to get an advantage in marketing and visibility. And this is how I'm saying fake it till you make it, would work in today's world. Now, you still got to be good, right? You can fake it all you want on the statistics and all of that, and, still not get anywhere if your content sucks, if you're boring, not entertaining, so you got to think about that. But in the beginning, that is a way to get visibility. You can also pay for services that, direct traffic towards your website. Whether that traffic is bots or whether that traffic is real people, don't really know. But you can pay, for that service where they're going to guarantee you this many views. And they might do other things. Maybe they could also guarantee this many shares of your content on social media and all of that to kind of build up the authority of your website. I kind of see that as the same as paying people for SEO and, website optimization and all of that. It's all about, when it comes down to it, the fake it till you make it today is all about when you're getting started, how to get visibility. And yeah, you could pay for ads, Facebook ads, Twitter ads, and all of that. And they still work, but that has diminishing effects. Paying, for services that may not be so much about advertisement and feeling like advertisement, especially if you, have such problems being able to go for the ask, because you feel like, man, I just can't really, produce a great, advertisement that's, doesn't sound too salesman-y. Well, paying for marketing service, and that's how I'm going to call this from now on, the fake it till you make it, is marketing services, that are less about, being very obvious in your ads and making the ask, to marketing organic reach. That's actually a great way to say how fake it till you make it works, because it's all about, marketing in such a way that you are manipulating the algorithms to increase your natural organic reach, over the sales pitch. And I think that's where the future of marketing is actually going to go when I think about it. I get it. I'm kind of getting off topic here on the personal branding, but I think that's where we're going when it comes to marketing tactics today. It's all about manipulating the algorithms to increase and expand your natural organic reach so you're less salesman-like and more just natural. So that's how some of the fake it till you make it. And it's nothing new, really. I mean, people have been doing this on Twitter for quite some time where they bought their Twitter followings. And some people, really benefited from that. Celebrities, they bought Twitter followings. No one was taking a look at the actual engagement, the low number of likes, the low number of retweets. All they did was they just saw, oh, this person has, 20,000 followers. This person has 1,000,000 followers. They're very influential. People like to see them. Hey, we're going to cast them in this role and that role. People saw, in Hollywood, a big bump in their career and the type of acting gigs that they got. And then you saw this, early on with some of the people that became, big social media influencers. They bought their initial audience. And because of that, it created the false sense of social proof. And people started going, this person's talking something about, I don't know, marketing. Hey, they got 500,000 followers. They must actually know something about marketing and how to use social media. I better follow this person. Or they got 1,000,000 or 2,000,000 followers. Wow. They know what they're talking about. And so, because they created that false sense of social proof, other people started going through and going, hey, I should think about, doing that, following this person too. Now, what's going to be the next Twitter thing, for creating social proof? Because now people are taking a look and they're seeing, oh, this person has 1,000,000 followers. Man, they're only getting like 4 or 5 likes per post. I mean, that is just unbelievable, and how they got such a big audience with low engagement. So the next big thing, that people will be selling for Twitter to help people fake it till they make it is running it such that, they don't just provide you the followers, but they provide you the retweets and likes and maybe even, comments. Maybe they can find some generic commenting that, could fit for most posts, right? Maybe. But I kind of see where that's going for the next fake social proof for fake it till you make it. And all fake it till you make it schemes is just marketing, right? It's just trying to find a way to market things. I mean, we've seen fake it till you make it on TV all the time. We did. Do you really think those actors take all those medications that are being advertised and talking about how to improve their lives? No, those are paid actors. They're just faking it so that the company can make it. So if you feel like you need to build a personal brand and you're wanting to try and take off quickly, here's what my suggestion would be beyond the, be consistent and, just pushing out content. If you want to take the shortcut of, marketing such that you're marketing for organic reach rather than marketing strictly for the ask, here's how I go. If you want to do video, get on YouTube, pump out videos, make, about 25 to 50 videos. And then after you produce that many videos, you then go ahead and you could pay, for the service, where at first you get, 250 followers over 30 days. Then the next week you pay, or the next month you pay to increase it from 250 to, a few thousand, and you work your way up, to that 100,000 mark, and I don't think you really need more than, to go to that 100,000 and paying for the likes and the shares and, maybe some comments and watch time, and get yourself into the trending section and make your, YouTube channel highly visible. And then, after, a few months of paying for that, it's going to cost you a few $100s doing it this way. But after you do that, for a while and you're being consistent, stop paying and see how much, audience you're really gaining. Of course, people will see, the dip or the drop off. So, maybe, after you're done, building up fake subscribers, you decrease the service of likes and retweets, so that you don't just all of a sudden in a month see that huge dip and drop off, but instead it seems natural, slow, but you start gaining and building a real audience, and, and then do the same thing for your audio podcast. This is if you feel like you need a personal brand. And companies, YouTube and all that, they're probably catching on to all this. So if you went from zero, all of a sudden to a massive audience within 3-4, contents posted, I mean, it's not unheard of, but they're going to put you on a watch, or put you in or watch you closely. So you want to try and buy for that natural increase in organic reach. And, you want to figure out which way is best for you. I mean, if video, no matter what you do, video is going to suck, don't go with video. Audio or blog. If you're not much of a writer, just go with the audio. All right, so that's really all I want to say here about personal branding, and getting you to think about why it is you want to do personal branding. You got to have more of a reason than you just want to chase money. And if it is chasing money, though, well, then you got to start thinking about, and this, I guess this is the last thing I'm going to say about the personal branding. If it is about chasing the money, there is a sort of arbitrage that you can do. Let's say, I don't know, blogging. Writing is your, big, strength. Okay. So if writing is your big strength here, maybe what you do is you write up your blogs, you pay for the audience. Now, if you get paid more from the ads you run on your blog than what you're paying for the traffic to your blog, yeah, even if all that traffic's fake, you can still make money doing it. And you can build it up to the point where you can blog full time, working on your passion, making the money. How long that lasts, though, if you're not really getting a real audience, that may be short-lived. It may help you obtain short-term financial goals, like get out of debt. So you could do that. Same thing when you take a look at, YouTube. Considering the services that will provide you watch times and all of that. If you have a channel that's built up to be monetized, for ads, is the money that you're paying for those services to provide the watch time and all of that, is the money that you're making from the ads on your video more than the money that you're paying for the traffic? And then you can just keep building up traffic, that way, and you could make money, I guess, doing that way, kind of an arbitrage deal there. And podcasting, there are sites where, if you're able to find a service that actually leads to higher download numbers, as well as increasing your rankings, yeah, you could probably make quite a bit of money doing that, and make sure that it's done right. And how they do that. I mean, yeah, you could find ways to kind of, do that. And, I guess if you do that, though, you would want to do that in a short-lived situation, because eventually they're going to catch on, and you don't want, them to make one little change to stop, you from what you're doing. And all of a sudden you go from, good income that allows you to be self-employed to all of a sudden nothing. So you want these tactics that you're using to actually lead to a real audience. All right. So I'd like to thank you so much for your time and attention. I know part of my style is I kind of ramble and get off topics here and there. It's just how I am. I'm ADD. And sometimes I think I'm about to end an episode, and all of a sudden, boom, something else comes to mind. or something I want to clarify. Right? So if you can hang in there and get the content, and stick with me, I do get to the point and provide you the information that you need. Thank you so much. And please hit subscribe. Please, go to my social media profiles and follow me there if you want more information. And I'll be back again soon.